didn't do that today, see, did you?
Madam Chair, that is the bell. It is 6 p.m.
It is 6 p.m., so I would like to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Redevelopment Commission on September 11th, 2024. And I am going to ask our Executive Director to give us a roll call.
Yes, Madam Chair. Beth Walker.
I am here.
Sharon Bryant.
Here.
Jimmy Dillahunt.
Here.
Steve Strickland.
Here.
Julius Parham.
Here.
Tabari Wallace.
Here.
Kip Paragoy.
Here.
Sarah Proctor and Leander Morgan are both excused due to sickness. Hazel Royal. Rick Prill. Barbara Best. Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you. And before we get started, I would just like to thank all the members of the Redevelopment Commission who went to the most recent Alderman's meeting, and appreciate your show and standing up for what we know we've been working hard for. So I want to thank you for that. I want to, just as a way of introducing this next new year, because we just changed over our leadership. The Newbern Redevelopment Commission is a public body appointed by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Newbern. It is a public body governed by the North Carolina General Statutes. And our Redevelopment Commission has been tasked with designing and implementing a comprehensive plan to address blighted parcels, as well as public health, safety, and the general welfare of citizens within the redevelopment area. And I know our member of the public who is attending regularly attends, so that is not news to you. All right, so let's get started with our mission statement and guiding principles, which are not in your packets. Do we have them? All right. Why don't we pass that around and start with reading? Yeah, you do. Start with reading the mission statement for us. We got my glasses on.
Okay. The Newbern Redevelopment Commission, leading the way for community transformation and improvement by directly addressing community needs in the vital areas of public health, infrastructure, housing, and economic development. The Commission is committed to an accountable, transparent, and publicly driven process.
And our guiding principles, Commissioner Bryan?
Past, present, future, equal times.
Respect others' opinions.
Listen to build consensus.
Share accurate information, public perception.
Stay focused, be action-oriented.
And the last one, you guys can say together.
Believe.
Believe.
All right, thank you, commissioners. Our next order of business is to consider approving our agenda. I would like to say that for this September meeting, there have been no items of new business that were submitted. And I just want to remind you, if you do have new business items, you need to submit them before the agenda is approved.
Gotcha.
So, unless there's any surprise new items, I'd like to go ahead and get a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion that the agenda be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the motion carries and this meeting's agenda is approved. We also, in our packet that we received, received the August meeting minutes. And I hope you've had time to look over those. If you have, and take no exceptions, I'd like to get a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
So moved.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. And by way of discussion, were there any changes that anyone saw that needed to be made?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the August meeting minutes. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? Motion carries and the meeting minutes will be approved. The next agenda item, as usual, is public comment. No public comment tonight? All right, we will move on to our next agenda item, which is new business. And as I said before, there have been no items submitted. So we will move into talking about some of the old business, the 3 projects that we have been talking about in the past few meetings. The first one being the West A Street update.
Okay, West A Street has not moved forward at all since the last meeting. We were having difficulty with the surveying work being done. We have kind of not had a great deal of communication with the survey firm that we had hired, and either Zeb nor myself have seen a whole lot of communications or activity. The last we knew is that they were having difficulty with the deeds, and we have not heard, I think we provided them some additional information, and we have not heard any feedback from them that we're aware of since that additional information was provided to them. That said, it is, I think, incumbent upon us to not sit around and not be moving forward with some type of productive housing solutions for the Redevelopment Commission. And I got to thinking about the fact that while we're resolving whatever there might be on the titles and surveying on the West A Street block, that we do have several very, very nice home sites within the Redevelopment Commission that we could build on. We have several right across on Eubanks Street that we got from the county and the city. And we also have a very nice site up on Green Street that we traded for a year or 2 ago. And they would all work well. They're all 52-foot wide lots and would work well for the housing stock that we, similar to what we built on Walt Bellamy. And I think we need to have a little bit of conversation about a plan B, so to speak, if we run into real snags and being able to get clear title that, so that we could build the houses and sell them on West A Street. But I throw that out for discussion amongst the commission.
And I have something to add to that if I can. One at a time. Did we do a contract with a time limit on it?
On the survey work?
Yes, of course.
The survey work, yes, they had an expected delivery date, but there was no expectation they were going to run into the issues that they had with the title to the property. And I think that, Jamie, if I may call on you to explain what the issues are with the surveyors and the deeds that they were trying to resolve.
Yes, sir. Madam Chair and members of the commission, it is my understanding that the surveyors are trying to untangle the metes and bounds of these lots as it pertains to the way they are described in the deeds that were received by the Redevelopment Commission. As you might recall, you all acquired these properties very early on in the commission's creation. Although I think I was in the city attorney's office maybe a week at the time that conveyance occurred, the way I recall it is that the property owner at that time just gave y'all a deed and it was recorded. So I'm not certain that there was any title investigation done at the time of the acquisition, which now creates some things to untangle. So I think Kip and Mr. Paraguay and Mr. Huff forwarded some communication to me about some questions, specific questions that the surveyors had. Our office provided the documents and the information that we had that might be helpful on those issues. And as Mr. Paraguay indicated, we have not received a response, and I don't think any representatives of the commission have either at this stage.
Okay, I have another question. You're saying you're trying to untangle. What do you mean by that?
I'm sorry?
You said you're trying to untangle?
No, they're trying to untangle.
So what do they mean exactly by that?
They are undertaking efforts to try to understand the descriptions of the properties as it has been described in the chain of title that we have.
So answering your question, possibly mine. I didn't try to do the whole survey, then divide them up in lots of what are their intent.
They're trying to describe, to get the perimeter set, then we can do the subdividing within the boundary, an accurate boundary survey. And that's what we are waiting for, is the accurate boundary survey, so we know what we really have to work with. And that was the first deliverable that they were supposed to provide us.
Okay, adding on to that, you did mention some more, I guess, feasible lots that we can build on. I talked to, I guess some of them got amnesia. I talked to him about 3 or 4 months ago about Third Avenue project. It wasn't mentioned the last meeting, it wasn't mentioned the meeting before that, and, you have any update? That's a nice piece of property. If anybody remembered, I'm pretty sure they don't.
I
The First Avenue,
disseminated.
I'm sorry, the First Avenue.
Yeah, the First Avenue project, I disseminated those findings to you several months ago per your request. Basically, there's between 18 and 22 viable lots on that property between First Avenue and Third Avenue. I sent you the site map and as well as descriptions of those parcels and what could possibly be done. A similar packet was put together for the Bloomfield Street RFP, and that committee has been working off of that. I didn't hear anything further from you, so I didn't take any further action.
Yeah. I didn't get the packet, number one. I went to the court and got a packet of my own.
Happy to resend it, sir.
And I see that they're getting ready to tear down the house that was next door to the property that we was trying to acquire.
Who is
And
we
right
were
now-
trying to acquire? The commission has taken no efforts to acquire any
No,
properties.
that we had anticipated on buying. The 2-story house that was, you don't remember?
Mr. Dillahunt?
Yes.
If you have questions about acquiring additional properties, there may be another venue to do that.
Well, he and I talked about it, and we were waiting for him to tear it down, if you remember.
And I'm going to ask us to go back to the conversation we were having, Commissioner, if you don't mind, about some of the properties that we do have and that are ready. And what I'm understanding you say, Commissioner Paraguay, is while we're waiting for the surveying to be accomplished on these properties, perhaps we could move forward with some of the other properties that we have or make a plan.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, say, a Plan B. Wow, because we always seem to run into title problems on properties that we have acquired. And so if we have a Plan B, and we can create a Plan B that, I mean, to utilize the money we got from the sale of the Walt Bellamy House, again, to create more quality housing opportunities in the redevelopment area. I hate not to be utilizing that. Our purpose was always to keep rolling that money and developing quality housing in redevelopment area. And I don't know what the resolution on the West A Street property will be, but I would like to think that we could have a Plan B in place in order to continue to meet that mission statement that we have in the redevelopment plan.
And not that it's a Plan B, but the next item on our agenda of old business is the Bloomfield project update. And maybe that is one that's moving forward or can move forward with that same goal
Sure.
in mind.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
I
sir.
don't want to get off the subject that we're talking about. I think we need to say something about First Avenue instead of evading the issue that I just brought up.
Well, to that point, we do not have that on our agenda, First Avenue.
That's,
And that would be a new business item that we would need to add, like I said in the beginning of the meeting. That no one asked for that to be added to the agenda. So I would like for you to explore that, and maybe if it is something you would like to add to our next
Well, I
agenda
say
meeting,
that.
we will
It's
need
been
to do
brought up
that.
several times, so I wouldn't say new business, maybe old business.
Well,
this is not-
officially,
this is not
I
a
think
new-
for the meeting, you will need to add it as a new business item.
What I'm saying, it's been added.
And Madam Chair,
And all of a
perhaps,
sudden, it stopped.
perhaps I can be helpful.
That's
Thank
the
you.
point I'm trying to.
It sounds as though.
Excuse me, ma'am. That's the point I'm trying to get across. He brought up the new property that he was talking about on some other lots, so I thought it was okay to bring up that property since he brought up the other properties. What's the difference?
That's on the agenda.
No. What's the
That's on
difference?
the agenda.
I'm talking to the chairman, please.
Yes, I do understand what you're saying, and he just, if I can paraphrase Commissioner Perry's thought, if this is going to be at a standstill, let's start looking at other properties and not definitively naming those properties as ones to move forward
And
on.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Okay,
Why not get back to work on those properties on First Avenue? Same thing that he had in mind. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We have multiple plans in case two fall through.
okay,
That was my idea, not trying to put it on the agenda as is.
I get
but
that.
It's
Okay.
coming up with ideas. So next time, I make sure I get with you, we'll put it on as new business.
And
Madam
this-
Chair, in the spirit of being helpful, perhaps it would be a good idea for that specific project team, the West A project team, which is made up of Commissioner Paragoy and Commissioner Dillahunt, to put a meeting on the schedule, and we can brainstorm as a project team, and perhaps bring back some viable solutions
Cool, we can do that.
in next month's meeting. That way, we're not hashing things out and
Right.
getting miscommunications during a live meeting that's public, and we can all have intelligent things to say.
appreciate that.
And Madam Chair,
Yes.
Mr. Huff read my mind. Perhaps in that conversation, if it's the board's directive, that the West A Street Project Group might also consider the suitability and viability of development in the First Avenue corridor. So if that's the pleasure of the commission or the work group, that's a directive that this board might give.
The First Avenue project was a project work group when we did our strategic planning, and Mr. Dillahunt was in charge of the First Avenue project. And that's why I haven't gotten into it. That was already an established project work group.
So perhaps to Mr. Huff's point, if the First Avenue Project Work Group would like to have some more discussion about development in that corridor and perhaps share their findings and recommendations with the West A Street Group, that might be a productive use of the time. So I don't know if anyone else might be inclined to join Mr. Dillahunt on that project group. Be it as it may, it might be effective for Mr. Dillahunt to communicate his availability to Mr. Huff so that the West A Street and the First Avenue project groups might collaborate in some way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And hopefully that is better understanding of why it would be a new business item,
Cool.
if it's the
No
project
problem.
work group bringing it to us. Okay? So I mentioned the Bloomfield project update. Is there an update to be provided tonight?
All right. We recently met with the city attorney to discuss actually this matter, but before proceeding forward, my team would need to convene to review some newly compiled information. Sorry, I'm used to being there now. Okay. So that is ongoing, and we'll have a more thorough presentation for the next time.
Okay. Any questions from the commission? And the final one is the Eubanks project update. And I'm thinking that is, without Commissioner Proctor being here, is that something you could update us on?
Actually, Commissioner Wallace was recently brought in on this project, and I wonder if I might throw the vice chair under the bus and ask him to present on this one.
Falls back in your court.
It does, and I just want to lock eyes with our council to make sure, am I able to be, never mind, I'm sticking straight. All right, We have become aware of a potential opportunity concerning the 911 Eubanks house. The CDBG staff has contacted the consultant regarding the potential sale of this property to an interested property. Myself and some representatives from the city actually arranged and met the potential buyers so they can do a walkthrough, and they were extremely interested, to the point that I think I have badgered the city to death, i.e. the death, to try to expedite the process, but we can't do anything until the CBG consultant gives us the thumbs up. But they're ready, money in hand, ready to go. They're just waiting on the process. But they are extremely, and I don't know if I won't say name. But it is a low-income, single father with 2 children that's working just as hard as he can, and he's getting help from grandparents to make this happen, to move him into a better spot. And this is exactly what we moved that house to that area to do. This is a culmination of our efforts actually helping one of our citizens right here in New Bern doing the best that he can to raise his family on his own. We were extremely delighted when we were there, when they left. And now we just await further information from our CDBG partners. Once that's going, then we can start going.
All right, well, I appreciate that update. That sounds positive.
Yeah. Okay.
Positive.
I love eye contact. But if I could, right at this moment, I want to ask the chair: could we consider adopting a resolution for authorized sealed bid sale?
Well, hold on. Before we get there, Mr. Wallace, I think it's important for this commission, before you take action to convey this property, to understand what the CDBG implications are going to be. So, for example, if the methodology or the end user that gets this house falls into a certain bucket, there may be program income that the commission receives that will need to be allocated consistent with the federal regulations. So if there are going to be covenants and restrictions that have to be applied to this property, you're going to want to include that information in whatever advertisement you do. And at this stage, we've not received that information from the CDBG consultant. So I think it is good to be thinking about moving forward with under what circumstances you'd like to convey the property, and thinking about alternative means to be able to comply with CDBG and also comply with what I think is your intention for this property, for it to be utilized by somebody who's low to moderate income. So very good thinking, but we may be just a little way short of taking official action at this point.
Okay.
So would that be a next month's report, or what's the timetable with that?
That's a difficult question to answer, only because, and I do want to stress, just because 911 Eubanks has been talked about quite a bit lately. Really, that project in particular, because it was paid for by federal funds, we have to wait on the federal government to get back to us, and so we can't take a step until we get their process back. And which will empower us. But I do think it's fruitful to definitely contemplate and discuss, what we want, and do we have an appetite for this sort of thing? And I agree with Mr. Wallace's comments that this is exactly the essence of redevelopment in an area.
And I'll add that our office is researching additional methodologies that the Redevelopment Commission may be able to use because community development block grant funds were used. This may qualify as a community development project, which may give you some additional tools, such as a direct sale, and you may not have to use the upset bid process because of this unique situation. So we're still investigating that to make sure that we can satisfy all the legal requirements, but that may be an additional tool that you have in your arsenal.
I saw eyebrows raised, and so I just want to say that one of the reasons that this is the first time we're having this conversation is because this is the first time we're trying to do this kind of a thing. And so this isn't regular, normal redevelopment commission activity seen across the United States or even in North Carolina. this is really, and I have to give all the kudos to our attorney. This is really going above and beyond, calling the School of Government, calling the entire network of legal minds around the state to say, can we do this? Can we understand it this way? Is this a way we can actually look at it? And so it's really trying to redefine our work so that we can accomplish our goals, and so that we can make headway. Because at the end of the day, I don't think any one of us sits in this room trying to spin our wheels. And so really, you've done a great job this past month, and I just thank you.
And I echo those statements of our ED, because when you look at the email chain, we're trying to get things done on our own. When our counselor was involved and on the email chain, we started getting responses pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So, it really accelerated once that happened. So, salute to your expertise. We wouldn't be where we're at without you. So, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Couple of quick questions.
Okay.
Ma'am, are we trying to sell that for actual cost, or has it been appraised?
It has been tax assessed. The tax assessed value is $100,500, and it's generally the custom of this board to do around, is it 75% of tax assessed value? But no, to answer your question, no official appraisal has been done, and so that's where we sit.
Okay. What did we have in mind when we purchased the house? Was anything set aside or some ideals? And that wasn't here when that was done, so I may be having some off-the-wall questions. But what was in mind when the house was moved and when it was purchased?
There are a couple of things in mind as this project unwound itself. Originally, the commission was attempting to do some transitional housing so that while we did rehab work, we could use it as transitional housing. That didn't really fit the bill, and so really this project has taken a number of forms, and basically we've been trying to figure out a solution for the opportunity that we created that is very, very unique. And so,
And as you brought up earlier, the federal funding
yeah,
aspect and the grants might control some of the whole process instead of what we thought we were going to do.
yep.
And I guess it would offset some of the costs for moving and repairing the house. Still can understand that that house was, I don't think we got about $250,000 in it.
We used CDBG
CDBG
funding.
funds, not our funds.
Not our money.
I'm saying how much do they have invested in the house?
Somewhere in the neighborhood of $239,000.
So we're going to sell it at a discount.
We're certainly not going to sell it at $239,000.
And, correct me if I'm wrong, Counselor, but because this is a community block grant fund, the commission will not see any of the money, no matter what we sell it for.
That's right.
It is federal funds that was offered for the program. So it is different from the Walt Bellamy houses in that we'll never see the money. Is that correct?
That's the understanding.
I am not a
Yeah.
CDBG expert, but that is my general working understanding, but I would defer to Carl, who's our CDBG consultant.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so it is set up, it had different expectations from the beginning.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Any other questions about Eubanks? Hope we keep moving in a positive direction there.
Yes.
Yeah, that is good. All right, item number 9 on our agenda is the staff report. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Huff.
All right. Over the past month, substantial efforts have been made in networking with community partners to share and discuss ongoing and upcoming commission projects. Several meetings were conducted with local organizations, education institutes, and nonprofits to explore ways that we could work together. One of the things that I'd like to bring to the commission's attention for maybe discussion is our there is a consistent request for our involvement in community groups, just presence, such as the Residents Council, the Phoenix Council, and several others. I could list them all, but I was asked to convey again a desire for the community to see us in the community present. That's not to say that we're not there. Just an invitation to say that we're welcome, and so that was the yield of those conversations. I'm really happy to report that this last week, a draft of our website, our website collaboration for design went out to some senior city staff. I sent a short link to our chair and our vice chair so they could get a sneak peek. I've gotten really good and encouraging feedback on that, and I do hope to make a presentation as soon as next month to you all so that we can launch before the new year. Really, to bring you back to that discussion, the direction that I received from the commission was to explore ways to make the website more engaging, more consumer friendly, and we've sought ways to do that that I think are really neat and will be very eye-catching. So I look forward to bringing that presentation to you very soon. We did make a presentation on the Walt Bellamy project, and we successfully delivered on the 27th a unanimous vote to sell the Walt Bellamy project to the Housing Authority. And so we are waiting on final steps for our esteemed attorneys to give us a close date so I can get those keys off my desk once and for all. I do want to thank everybody who was a part of that project and for how smoothly it went, and I think that it stands as a testament to this commission's work. We are officially in contract with Margaret Shields from Fund Development LLC with an agreement of expenditures not to exceed $8,100. Fund Development LLC has agreed to write no less than 10 high-quality grants for the commission to support our endeavors in the coming 12-month period. We look forward to working with Ms. Shields, and we look forward even more to having some pocket change to play around with as we endeavor to complete and fulfill our mission in the redevelopment plan. It is that magical time of the year where the commission will have to look at our calendar and the things that are upcoming, such as strategic plans and our calendar of meetings for the next year. Also, in doing so, we will commit to a budget amendment for expenditures that we will expend that we anticipate to expend for the projects that we anticipate doing. And so, in preparation for that, we want to be thinking ahead about some of the initiatives that we want to see so that we can endeavor to fulfill the redevelopment plan overall. I would bring to the Commission's attention this evening that in the last couple of months, there have been just an ungodly amount of gun violence occurrences in our redevelopment boundary area. And so from the bottom of my heart, I would encourage you all to think very, very deeply about ways that we can address public safety in our strategic plan as we begin to think about next year. We're not just a residential development commission. We're not just builders. In fact, we're not builders at all. We're thinkers, and our job is really to decrease blight and decrease the ability for crime, for the causes of crime to live in the places where we work. And so, if not us, then who? And so I charge you and challenge you to really take some time to think deeply about that as we go forward. On the business side of things, you now have an employee, and that employee needs to do professional development and networking on occasion. And so one of the things that you've never had to contemplate or discuss is travel expenses for research and development. I would like to get the Commission's feedback on several items tonight. The first is a training that I'd like to attend January 5th through the 8th. It's the Housing Commissioners Conference for Housing and Redevelopment Professionals. Housing and redevelopment professionals from around the country will be here. My hope in going would be to increase the network in national level developers that might be interested in working with us here in New Bern, and also collaborate with individuals working in the field that we're working in, so that I have fresh ideas to bring back to the Commission as I support the work that you all do. The other training that I would like to attend is October 4th, and that will be in Chapel Hill. It is a workshop put on by the School of Government to go over the recent legislation changes around affordable housing. Again, just want to make sure that you all have the best and most up-to-date information, and so I would very much like guidance on that. If that is something that seems good to you all for me to pursue, or if I should pump the brakes, I give that to you for discussion. And I think that is my staff report outside of the financials, which you have in your packets, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have pertaining to that.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, question. These two items you're talking about travel. How soon do you need to know that you want to go, or get approved that you want to go? Do we have to approve this travel? Or we just say, I think it's a good idea, go.
Correct. I don't need permission, so to speak. But in the spirit of transparency, I want you all to always be aware of all the things that I'm endeavoring to do. In full transparency, I have asked the city manager and the assistant city manager if it's okay for me to go to these, and have received approval to do so. But certainly want to keep you apprised, and if it's not something that you would prefer your employee be involved in, certainly would want to know that so that I can have different priorities going forward.
Any more questions? Seems like a good idea from my point of view. But
Absolutely, absolutely.
The one in Florida, looks like you started to put a cost in the agenda packet, but
sorry. I can get an estimated cost to you as soon as tomorrow. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to guess on the spot, but it is within the permissible allowance. But I can certainly get estimated cost to you by tomorrow.
no need.
That's my report.
I do have a question about your report, and it's about the houses on Walt Bellamy Drive.
Yes, sir.
I know it wasn't the intent of this board to sell the houses to the housing authority, right or wrong?
Excuse me?
It was not the intent of selling the houses on Walt Bellamy Drive to the housing authority.
You are actually correct. This commission, our intent was to develop these houses, to construct them, and then to find a suitable end user. So if you all remember, in April's meeting, you all put the Walt Bellamy project on the sellables list. That project was looked at, had massive interest, and the only request for purchase that we received was from the housing authority. And so we didn't have a strategic alliance. We didn't make a plan, make a planning closed session or anything like that. The Housing Authority was aware of the project from the beginning, and they took interest in it, and they did wait 2 months to put a request in, and in June they gave an oral presentation, and by our August meeting we had an official request for purchase.
Okay, for me to get some clarity, and by chance over on A Street, we built 5 houses. Are they gonna go the same way that the ones on Bellamy Drive went for, or they can be done differently?
One of the reasons we have project teams is so that we could strategize on a project by project basis. So if the project team deems these houses the best and highest use for the residential development that we're endeavoring to do on A Street, if we want those to go to the Housing Authority, and that's our intended end user, what I might suggest after going through the entire process with Walt Bellamy is that we start talking to the Housing Authority from the time that decision is made. But that certainly is a mechanism, and one of the reasons we have project teams, so the project teams could strategize, say this is the strategy that we'd like to take to the commission, and the commission can make a decision on whether the majority of the commission thinks that that's a great idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you just answered that question. And by chance, and we definitely don't want to end up with a surplus of housing. And answer that, well, I'm asking another question within that question. So we get 10 houses, surplus after 3 or 4 months. Would we go to the Housing Authority? Or if you got a developer to say, I'll give you 10 houses, what's going to be the protocol on set of those houses?
And I don't think,
What you could do about advertising to them?
I think whoever got the money that want to buy them.
I don't think we end up with surplus based on the fact that we're trying to sell the first one to go to the next project. So I can't see a real big surplus because you're using the sale of one to move to the next project. So you can't move to the next project until you get rid of the first one. Is that kind of where we are?
That's correct. Also, as I stated, there is no set protocol. Again, because I'll keep on borrowing your language. We're pioneers. We're pioneering. We're exploring, and we're getting more and more education. The laws are changing all the time. So to set a protocol and pigeonhole the commission to one protocol for one methodology of disposing surplus properties kind of goes against our ambitions to be strategic in how we endeavor to sell property. So,
another thing to bear in mind, members of the commission, is it may be that you take a different approach in various different areas of your boundary as it relates to development. Your most recent success, the Redevelopment Commission did the redevelopment of those lots. You acquired them, you assembled them, you demolished structures, you built new structures. It may be in the future that you aggregate the parcels, identify a developer or group of developers that are able to suit your intended use for those parcels, and then a private entity or a nonprofit entity comes in and actually does the development for you. Right. And you apply restrictions and covenants to ensure that the land is used consistent with your intent and consistent with the redevelopment plan. So in that instance, if that is a model that you pivot towards, then any quote-unquote surplus housing would be on the onus of the developer to make sure that those structures, those dwelling units, get into the hands of the intended users, consistent with whatever development agreements you put in place and consistent with whatever covenants may be applied.
Right.
You answered my question. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you for that answer. Thank you for that staff report.
Of course.
Very comprehensive. And I feel like, if I'm understanding correctly, there was consensus for you to do these trainings, and there was interest in knowing what the cost is for the Florida one. So if you can get that information to us.
That'd be great.
Okay.
No worries.
All right, well, the next thing is,
I have a question about Florida.
yes, sir.
Don't they require a commissioner to come with you down there tonight?
We ain't got budget for that.
I'm just saying, could you check the specs of that to see if you was required to bring a commissioner with you?
Can we do the board retreat at the same time down there?
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
It is not a requirement, but
You didn't check.
Huh?
You got to check first.
Oh, I will check, sir.
Yes.
All right, and I mean, this sounds silly, but January is right around the corner.
right there.
So if we can start, I don't know the best way, I know in the past we've done, I forget the name of the software, doodles, sent around ideas of dates. I would like it to be one that all the commissioners can attend, so.
Please, yes.
All right,
Yeah.
I will send dates for. Do we want to stick with January? Last year we were January 27th was our strategic plan. It's towards the end of January. It was a Saturday morning for 4 hours, if you all recall. We had Chick-fil-A, and it was a working lunch. And so if that's the flavor of this year, those are the dates I will look at and send out a doodle poll probably sometime this week.
That'd be great.
Okay.
And I would like to request that we also can use the redevelopment services building again.
Okay.
That is just conducive to casual work rather than sitting around like this.
And Madam Chairman, may I also suggest that at this retreat, we don't do the business we do once a month.
Oh, correct.
We do new stuff. We talk about new stuff. We get ideas. Because I don't want to be in there voting on this issue. That ain't what the retreat is about. The retreat is about looking ways for us to improve what we do, reviewing what we did, and then go from there. Don't set up an agenda where we got vote on something. That's not a retreat. Because I think we did something like that last time, and that wasn't.
We had some business that we went
Right.
over. Okay.
That's all I ask.
Sure.
But the board has
And
to say okay.
question for council, it is also a public meeting, correct?
Yes,
Our
ma'am.
retreat,
Yes,
public,
ma'am.
open to all interested parties.
That's right.
Okay.
City council.
And it may be beneficial to invite some of those community groups that we work alongside
Absolutely.
to the strategic planning, so that we can have some more candid conversations and those kinds of things. So it certainly is a time to do a little bit less doing work and a little bit more planning work,
Gotcha.
visioning
I
work.
agree.
Okay.
And I would like to work on that. As Commissioner Parham said, I don't know all the legalities, how we have to conduct it as a meeting. It'd be better if it's not like public comment and then us, but more interactive.
Yes, there are ways that you can structure your agenda. So when we say public meeting, it's not a public hearing. The public has
Right.
a right to come and to listen and to hear, but the public doesn't necessarily have a right to participate unless you invite them to.
Okay.
So if there are community groups that you'd like to hear from and collaborate with, if there are interested persons that come and a majority of you would like to hear from them, then those are certainly elements that you can bake into that particular session.
Okay,
It does
great.
not have to follow the format of your traditional regular meeting.
That's great. Thank you. So everybody on the commission, please be thinking about who you'd like to interact with and outside of the rest of us. And,
And I'll be sending that doodle poll in an email. Please feel free to send me back ideas in that same email thread, so we can stay in constant communication.
okay. Thank you.
Of course.
And I guess, if I can,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna bring up this subject. Every meeting we have, every outing we may go on, I presume that the aldermans are invited to it.
The alderman, the ex officio aldermen on this commission are actual members of the commission. Their activity is expected to be the exact same as yours, including attendance. The only thing that they are not permitted by law to do is vote. Their job is to share with this commission feedback from the governing board, and share with the governing board feedback from this commission, so that our work and our endeavors that we seek to do align with the governing board so that we're a cohesive unit of government working together for the betterment of our community and for the fulfillment of the redevelopment plan. So absolutely, not only are they invited to come, they can speak just as freely as you because they have all the rights of a full member of the commission. They are ex officio members of a commission.
And I know, if I may, you know the exact reason I brought this up. The problem that we had when we got ready to sell those houses on Walk Bellamy, the board apparently I had an attitude that they weren't aware of what was going on. That puzzled me. So some communication by them not attending the meetings was problem number one, and I guess you didn't have the right communication with them. It was a complete shocker for them to say what they did say, that they didn't know about the sale of the houses. To me it was. And they put the meeting off to the next meeting. I don't think that should happen again. We need to do something to patch that tire so that same problem would not come up if we get another house to sell. How you can do that? Yes, the members can come. If they don't come, well, I think they need to get some feedback or some communication on what's going on from this board.
Correct me if I'm wrong, do they receive the minutes as well as the agenda when we have these meetings?
As full members, every member of this commission gets everything that I send out.
So that was
They
their
have
fault for
received
not reading
our-
it.
They have received all of our meeting minutes
And I
as we've
wonder
had
what was
meetings.
on the kick up about, them not knowing what was going on. So I figured I would ask that question so it won't happen again.
That is a good question.
In the spirit of
Okay.
being helpful, I just want to let the commission know at large. I have reached out to each ex officio member and have had great conversations with them. I feel that communication won't be an issue going forward.
Thank you for that.
Okay, very good.
All right, our next agenda item is a closed session, and unless there's something I don't know about,
No,
I
ma'am.
don't think we need to go into it.
No, ma'am.
All right, so the 11th agenda item, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye. And all opposed? All right, we are adjourned.
Yeah.